Hello lads, and welcome to a game I should have played months ago, yet for some reason, I just never did. Dead Island. And I tried beating it with only throwables. The rules are as simple as they get. As long as I can throw it, it will be thrown. So as I began my adventure, I had the choice between 4 different survivors. Logan, throwing expert. Do I even need to talk about the other 3? I chose Logan. I woke up to the sound of a scream in the hotel room beside me. You see, I had been vacationing in beautiful Benoi for the past week and a half and it was a great time. But something about that scream didn't seem quite right, so I went to check it out. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw a man and his wife lying dead on the ground. Those poor angels didn't deserve a fate like that, so because I'm such a good person, I went to find help. But before finding these 2 lovebirds some help, let me tell you about Dying Light 2. Did you guys know that Dying Light 2 is coming out in just 2 weeks? Pre-order it right now. No, seriously though, Techland was kind enough to sponsor this video so I could let you guys know about Dying Light 2. I got all kinds of footage to show you here. We got a vast open world that looks absolutely stunning. We got a crazy combat system that will make John Wick jealous of you. We got a day and a night cycle that will make you want to get tucked in every night because f those scary guys, I'm not dealing with that. Consequences for the actions you make, and 2 to 4 player co-op, so when night rolls around, you got your homies to tuck you in and give you a little kiss on the forehead. What more could you ask for? You guys know how much I love Dying Light, so do I really need to tell you how excited I am for this? I mean, come on man, look at how many videos I have on my channel of it. I've already pre-ordered my copy, and you guys can do so as well in the description or in my pinned comment down below. Also, Techland has a little show called Dying to Know here on YouTube that covers dev interviews about making the game, fan contests that you can take part in, and lots more, so be sure to check it out. Again, check out the description and my pinned comment down below to pre-order Dying Light 2. She's coming out in 2 weeks. So getting back into it, as I was searching for help, I noticed a woman falling to her death from the top floor of the hotel. It was at this moment I started to think something was a bit off about today, and my assumptions were confirmed when I came across a bunch of crazy people in the hotel hallway.
Hey all, Scott here, and this is bad. Real bad.
I wasn't going out without a fight, so I started throwing fists. That is, until the whole gang was on top of me. So I did what any man would do in that situation and flew out of there. When I woke from my deep sleep, I was gifted with the presence of the hottest woman I had ever seen. I was about to... Anyway, Cinemoy needed my help. It was the least I could do after these kind people saved me from the incident. I grabbed the nearest paddle, made my way outside, and began the battle. Thanks to my brute strength and quick thinking, Cinemoy lived another day. He thanked me, but also told me we needed to get to the lifeguard tower if we wanted even a slim chance of surviving the zombie apocalypse. I agreed, so it was off to the tower I went. Now, not only does Logan have the best skills in the game for throwables, he's also the only player with usable fury, which was super important for this challenge. And so I began my adventure of desperately trying to level up before getting to the final boss. As I was making my way by yet another bungalow, I was surprised to hear voices of more survivors. I immediately broke into their heavily barricaded home and thought I had made some new friends, but clearly this wasn't the case.
Why did you make me do this?
It was clearly self-defense, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. It was time to capture the lifeguard tower, which was where I came across my first special infected, the Chad zombie. He was big and muscular, sure, but he was a real slow guy. Taking him out couldn't have been easier. And that was that. The tower was mine. It was around this time I received a phone call. It was from a man named Ryder, and he told me that if I was able to make it to the prison island just a few miles offshore, I could get into a helicopter with him and get out of there. I thought he was just doing this out of the kindness of his heart, but I couldn't have been more wrong. I called up Cinemoy and he brought over his boys. Now, sure, I could have stayed at the tower where it was safe, had a nice cold pint and waited for all this to blow over. But since killing that man in self-defense earlier that evening, I had a sort of bloodlust. One guy just wasn't enough. And wouldn't you know it, I came across a lighthouse full of people. But something about this place just didn't seem right. The people here terrified me. I gave a poor dying woman my best weapon and even gave another one a thigh rub for good luck. These people had gone through traumatizing events and I wanted them to feel comfortable around me. As I made my way through Benoi racking up kill after kill, I quickly noticed that sharp weapons were my best friend. For some reason, this game tends to swallow up your weapons into the endless abyss and you're just left there defenseless against the infected. Let me ask you this, have you ever dropped anything in your life and when you went to look for it, it seemed to just vanish from existence? Yeah, well that was Dead Island's version of blunt weapons. Sharp things, on the other hand, would stick into the zombies' decaying corpses, which gave me more than enough time to snatch them back up. So yeah, my inventory during this entire challenge was exclusively sharp things. The island was fine and all, but it was time to make my way to the big city. I mean, there wasn't much happening on the island. It was time to find someone I could use to get me to the city. If begging didn't work, I was willing to use violence. So I said goodbye to my good friend Cinemoy, went searching for anyone willing to help me, and came across some psycho who doused herself in 40 pounds of lotion. Lotion Girl was a very kind person, but unfortunately for her, her daddy was infected. Luckily for me though, his final request was to make a badass armored truck for us to get to the city. So I defended them while they worked, Lotion Girl took out the old man after he turned, and we were off to the city. She seemed upset that she had to take out her own father, so I did the only thing I could think of to cheer her up.
Sorry that your daddy died.
And here we finally arrived at the church. I was a little afraid I wouldn't be able to damage the boys in the straitjackets, but imagine my surprise when one of my throws sent the guy to the atmosphere. Jesus Christ, the arm on me! But I celebrated a bit too early because he came crashing down like a meteor and continued trying to squish me like nothing happened. I almost didn't want to hurt the guy after a feat like that, but unfortunately I had to progress. I sent him to the Shadow Realm, made my way inside the church, and started introducing myself to the kind people. I just couldn't understand why people weren't enjoying my gentle touch, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter. I was here for one reason, and one reason only: to throw things at people, and so that's what I did. The thrill of zombie hunting was over, and I was exclusively a human hunter at this point. My specialty was aiming for the spinal cord so that every enemy would be a one-hit kill. I was living my best life and nothing could stop me. That is, until I came across yet another crazy guy. I thought I had this in the bag easily, but I started to notice something. No matter how many times I threw my machete at the guy, he just wasn't going down. Throw after throw after throw, and he was laughing in my face. I wasn't even hurting him. Now hear me out, I've been playing this game for years, and it wasn't until this playthrough that I finally figured out this guy's weakness: his spine. That may sound crazy coming from the spinal cord wrangler himself, but I truly never realized that his back was his Achilles tendon. After finding that out, the fight was a piece of cake. Here was where I came across an escort mission. This weak old man was willing to tell me the secrets of life, and all I had to do was make sure he got across the city safe and sound. I mean, I tried telling him that I was psychotic and that I really couldn't guarantee his safety, but after hearing that, the old man seemed to want to go even more. Okay, so off we went. Now, normally, I probably would have stabbed the guy in the back just for the thrill, but something about him putting his complete faith in me just made me want to protect him even more. And so I tried my best to make Grandpappy proud. We eventually made it to the sewers, and he let me know how proud he was of me. Then I left and locked the door behind me so he would die of starvation. I mean, I warned him I was crazy, so really, it was his fault. I continued doing odd jobs for the people of the island. This was mainly to level myself up, because the final boss was going to be a real issue, but I guess you could also say it was in my nature to help people. Sure, sometimes I got a little too excited and did bad things to good people, but it was the risk you took when doing business with the spinal cord wrangler. I was completely convinced I had this world figured out and that no one could stop me, but then I came across some men with guns. These guys either had perfect aim or couldn't hit something 2 feet in front of them, and this was a problem, especially when it was 20 against 1. But with a bit of luck and strategy, I was able to take big groups out pretty easily. All I had to do was single them out. After days and days of doing this, I was starting to get bored. It was time to migrate to the jungle. City life was great, don't get me wrong, but I knew the jungle was where I truly belonged. Here, I could master the art of throwing. For some reason, the Lotion Girl decided to join me, and I mean, hey, I wasn't complaining. The more the merrier. I really thought I'd be able to let loose and enjoy my time here, but imagine my surprise when I found out that even this jungle was crawling with infected. Later that day, I tried making friends with the locals, but they just weren't having it. I had no choice but to burn them alive and throw weapons at them as they screamed in agony. I guess I'd be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying myself. Luckily, there were some friendly locals too, so I made friends with them and then made my way to the local lab where they were apparently trying to make a cure for all of this craziness. The bald scientist, also known as Charles, told me that if I was truly devoted to the art of throwing weapons, I had to go see the elders of the jungle. The man I was to meet was named Opie.
Far before the first of my kind walked the land, before this world even existed as it is, there was another time. The dream time.
What makes you think I would want to know that?
Opie wanted me to fight some demons in an arena for his amusement, so I just jumped in and started going crazy. And you know what? I was enjoying myself. Until I lost my best weapon. That's right, apparently Satan dragged this man straight into hell and that piece of garbage took my sickle with him. I hated Opie. If he wouldn't have gotten me into this mess, I never would have lost my most prized possession. So I shot him. Returning to the lab to tell Charles about what happened, I noticed something odd. Oh no. I seem to have left the door open when I left to meet Opie. It was my fault these people got eaten. I was trying my best each and every single day, but all I did was leave death and destruction everywhere I went. I thought every time I threw something at an unsuspecting bystander, I was getting closer and closer to my goal, but it turns out I was wrong. All I was doing was throwing away my promising future. It was time to start taking responsibility for my actions. The prison was waiting for me just beyond the horizon, and in that prison was Ryder. I took the only thing that mattered to me anymore, the lotion girl, and we made our way to the prison. It actually wasn't too bad there. I made some friends with the locals, met the beefy lad named Antoine, and began searching for Ryder. This entire journey was because of him, and I wasn't gonna let him get away with it. If he hadn't have offered help to me, I never would have become the psychopath that I was, and Ryder had to pay for that. One of the inmates told me Ryder was on the roof, and so with Lotion Girl along for the ride, we finally found him. It was at this point I told Ryder all of his sins would be forgiven if he just apologized. But instead of doing that, he started freaking out and said he didn't understand what the hell was going on. He said all he wanted to do was help me and he couldn't understand why he needed to apologize. He just refused to take responsibility and I knew there was no going back. He was too far gone and he needed to be exterminated. I told the Lotion Girl to flank him so we could pin him down, but Ryder caught on to our little scheme. Oh. After everything we had been through, all it took was a single bullet to completely shatter my future. That was the final straw for me. Ryder was full-blown crazy and it was up to me to take him down before he hurt anyone else. He told us all to piss off before anyone else had to get hurt, and that's when I pounced on him. Now, unfortunately for me, he seemed to be a descendant from Hulk, so this fight was no walk in the park. He even had his boys ambush me and I thought it was over. Our battle was insane and neither one of us held back. At one point, it even became a 3-on-1, but it still wasn't enough to take me out. With one final sickle throw, Ryder was beaten, and with that, peace could finally flourish throughout the land. We all hopped on the helicopter and got out of there. Lotion Girl didn't deserve to die. She was a kind-hearted person, and she made the world a better place. I promised myself I'd never forget her. So, can you beat Dead Island with only throwables? Yes, you absolutely can. It was tricky at some points and there was a lot of BS along the way, but that's another win we can add to my portfolio. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to me and click that bell. If you don't click that bell, you pretty well aren't subscribed to me, so make sure you click that bell. And don't forget to pre-order Dying Light 2 in the description or my pinned comment down below. Thanks for watching.